Hi, welcome to the latest developer blog video for Democracy 4. I'm Cliff, I'm the programmer and designer of the game. I'm going to talk about what has been changed in the game and improved and updated in the last 2 weeks. There's quite a lot of stuff actually. One of the things that's changed that's really obvious is I changed the background here. And I ummed a lot about it. I mean, like, I was going to do a really complicated animated thing and I coded it and it looked rubbish, so I just decided this looked better. There used to be like a world picture behind it and I don't know. I think this looks nicer. Actually, there's also like a dark version. There should be a dark version. Yeah. See, the shadowing on the feet is then the wrong colour, but like, who cares, right? At least that now swaps properly. Anyway, so that's one of the many things that's changed. I'm just going to load in a game I had earlier from Canada to talk about some stuff that has changed. I'm very unpopular at the moment in Canada, to put it mildly. I've ruined everything. Anyway, lots of stuff has changed recently. Some simulation and balance stuff, and also some user interface stuff. So if I find tourism, where art thou tourism? A bunch of stuff will affect this now that never used to. Now, funnily enough, at the moment in Canada they have a negligible effect. So the narcotics, kind of the drugs law, alcohol law, gambling, whether or not you've legalized sex work. One of the other things is whether or not you banned women from driving, which is a very extreme policy. All of these things now affect tourism, which kind of makes sense, right? Because Amsterdam has a lot of tourism based on the fact that a lot of drugs are legal there or not illegal. It's complicated. And the idea is that, like, you know, if you ban alcohol, you may get less tourism because you know, people aren't going to go on some, you know, Western cliched stag night holiday if they can't have a drink. And also, obviously, you kind of get, I guess, kind of like sex tourism as well. Amsterdam has basically built its entire economy on this particular part of the game. So there's some new inputs to tourism anyway. It was pointed out that those effects weren't in the game and should be. I've really upset all the ministers, haven't I? Anyway, so that's a thing that's changed. What else have we got? Oh yeah, term limits. So some countries have term limits and some countries don't, which is like how many times you can be Prime Minister or President. So like the US has a term limit of 2. You can only serve 2 terms, 2 consecutive terms. The UK has no term limit. This is actually in the game, if you didn't know about it, and is executive term length, that's one, and the other one is around there somewhere. There is executive term limit. So in Canada we don't have one. Now in the US you do have this limit of 2, which means you can only play through the game twice and then it ends. Now that's accurate, that's the way the US government works. But some people kind of like forget that and they don't think about it when they're playing the game. And then in the second election, if they win it or if they lose it, whatever, they're kind of annoyed that the game's come to an end. So what will happen now is you will get a little pop-up on kind of this. You will get one of these things come up and say, you know, did you know this is the last term? Because a few people like don't spot it, and it suggests that you go there and change this. Anyway, little edit. Eek. Right, so yeah, you get this little pop-up about that. Another little pop-up that you get is to do with cynicism. So if you do something cynical, cynical things tend to be like if you increase taxes just after you've won an election, or you cut taxes just before an election, or you do something that is a vast boost to a particular voter group just before an election, or a vast bad thing just after an election, you get cynicism. And you can see where cynicism is here. At the moment, I haven't made any of my voters cynical. And this has like a negative impact on what they think of you. So anyway, at the moment, you know, that's always been in the game, but we don't draw attention to it. And now I've added a new thing that again pops up here saying, oh, you just did something pretty cynical. That'd be every turn. Anyway, so that's a new thing that's in. Something else I'm gonna talk about now is like the size of the icons. So this kind of looks like it normally looks. So you'd sort of think I haven't changed anything here, but it kind of depends on the settings. Icons can now be bigger and they can now be smaller. The range of variation is much more pronounced. So if you look over here, this is a bad situation. It's a ghetto. Okay, so we have ghettos in our country, a sign of really bad race relations. But look, it's coming to an end. It's almost certainly going to end next turn, this problem. So that situation is really small. You probably won't notice it. That there looks like corruption. Again, hardly any, so it's really small. The really big ones will be stuff like, you know, pensions because they cost a lot, GDP because it's so influential. Now this is the default icon mode that we're looking at here, and you can change it here to various things. You can crudely go with just the value of it, which is moderately useful. You can go with influence, which will show you what is having the biggest impact on other things, and obviously the economy impacts a lot of stuff and a lot of people, and it impacts it very heavily. You can also go to finances, that will show you where all the money is coming from, basically these three policies and where it's going, which is basically pensions, health, education and the military, and everything else is quite small. You can go for a weighted collection of all of these values, which is the default, or you can go with policy popularity, which I've changed. So in the last 2 weeks we've changed the way this is calculated and changed the way it's displayed. Red is bad, orange is green is good, okay, but I've changed the way it's calculated. So the size of these icons now represents the number of people who care. Okay, so like take this retirement age. The only people who really care about it are retired and trade unionists, and they're not massive groups. Okay, if you look here, environmentalists really care, and everyone cares a bit. Okay, so the size of them is how big a deal they are in popularity terms. The colour represents whether people are happy, neutral or sad about it. So if you look at some things like that, that's tiny. Look at that. Alcohol awareness campaign. And that's because no one really cares. Okay, it will have an impact on them. It will have an impact on alcohol consumption, but no one has a strong view. I mean, this is basically a TV campaign saying that you shouldn't drink too much. People don't get really upset about that as a policy one way or the other. It's effective, but you don't see people putting it on the side of a bus or on a kind of like, you know, a campaign ad. We must stop the alcohol awareness TV ads. So it's a fairly minor thing. Previously this wasn't the case. Previously we didn't have these two systems of measurement. The other thing about this is we've actually changed the way we calculate the popularity. So we only really ask the opinions of people who care. So when we say, for example, immigration rules is unpopular, it's unpopular with people who care. Okay, so voters with an opinion, 91% of people have an opinion on immigration rules. If we pick something smaller like this, work and safety law, only 30% of the electorate care. Okay, and on balance, if you look at those 38% and you compare the people who like the policy with the people who don't like the policy, that policy popularity is 38%. If it's less than 50, it's unpopular. If it's more than 50, it's popular. So that's kind of in the middle there. Previously, what we'd do is we'd ask every single voter's opinion on a policy, and then we'd kind of average them. So we didn't take a poll, we actually averaged their opinions, and some of them wouldn't have an opinion, so we'd give that a neutral weighting. And what that meant is almost all the policies people were fairly neutral on, because for most policies people don't care. And that kind of makes sense. Like I don't have children, so I have no idea what the child benefit level is in the UK. I don't have a strong opinion. I wouldn't show up on that. Because I'm really political, I would have a strong opinion. But you know, generally speaking, there are a lot of policies that people just don't care about. So what we're getting at is this is different now. It's better, and it's far more accurate. So you can go there if you want to kind of like find out what are people really angry about policy-wise? Because here you can tell who's angry, and this screen in this setting is kind of what are they angry about. And they can be angry about non-policy things as well, because people can be angry about crime. Anyway, that's changed and vastly for the better. Right, I can talk about this. When the election is fought, and you get the election results, sometimes if you're really popular or there's a middle party that's really torn between two, you will see a party that gets no votes. Okay, that just looks stupid, even though like the modelling isn't fine-grained enough for us to eliminate that. Everyone always gets a few votes, so it doesn't look so silly. Something else that we changed is that the way we count votes is not in a random order anymore. It's in a much more interesting order, which makes election day more exciting. I'll show you actually, because it's cool. It's cool. I think I've got a pre-election thing. So yeah, this is Germany pre-election, and we'll just go straight to the next thing. Actually, yeah, we'll do that, and then I'll show you this other thing that I'm interested in. No, I'm not. I'm going to show you now. Okay, I changed this chart massively. This used to be a line chart and some pie charts, and it was rubbish because it was very hard to understand. So what it should show you, and it's kind of backwards at the moment because this is an old save game. Don't worry about that. What it should show you is what the funds are. So the blue party here has more money than anyone else. Us and the progressive fundamentalists are kind of about equal, and it's showing you the breakdown over time of where that money came from. So it's pretty much all members and just like a few donors there. Like I say, this data is wrong and backwards at the moment because this is an old game. If you start a new game, it will make a lot more sense and it will show up properly. But anyway, I've changed that chart. I'll show you it for Canada in a minute where it makes more sense. Anyway, if we go to an election, is this an election? Yeah, if you watch the way the votes go up, they don't just go up in a fairly linear way like they used to before, or they shouldn't do. So you get surges. Oh my god, I'm going to lose. Right, okay, I lost. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so I changed that, and I think that's much better. There's a few other little things that I've done. Policy reversals. There was a bug where voters had infinite memory. So if you introduced a policy and then you cancelled it 120 years later, they'd go, you've changed your position. Now it's only 24 turns, which is what it should be. There was a bug. Unexplained wealth orders now affect tax evasion, like they should have done. And the only other thing that I've changed is this. I got rid of all of my mods, didn't I? Ignore that one. Ignore that one at the top. That's a mistake. I just tidied up this UI so you see a preview picture for mods now. I uninstalled a load of mods after I was doing some checks, didn't I? That's why. Oh, God, absolute chaos. Anyway, that's quite a lot of stuff for 2 weeks, isn't it? I think basically. When I next do an update, when I next do a video rather, I should be able to show you South Korea. South Korea is nearly done. I got the minister artwork signed off today, and that's going to go in. I just need to get all of the data put into the game, and then we need to balance it a lot, and that's going to take a long time. But it's exciting because it's a very different country, obviously, to the countries we've got in. If you're watching this right now, the game is 25% off on Steam. So if you haven't got it, buy it now. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll do another video in 2 weeks. Please like and subscribe.